Hey guys, Ronan Will. We are back with another one of our painting videos. This time, we are going with the man himself. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm sorry. Lieutenant Sulu. He is probably my second favorite character after Scotty. This character was played by George Takei, or Takei. I've heard it pronounced both ways. And he premiered all the way back in the first Star Trek series and first Star Trek episode, The Man Trap. At least the first one that's listed on most episode guides. Something interesting about him, his last scene appearance of George Takei is seen, appearance in Crisis Point 2 Paradoxes. I've never seen this, although it looks like it says it's from the Lower Decks series, which is a animated series. So yeah, like everybody else, there has been a whole bunch of new versions of Sulu over the years. The original, of course, is George Takei. Then that was followed by John Cho, and George Takei voiced himself in 2022 in the animated series. So not as many as some of our other groups, but he, of course, is a human. The character's full name is Hirokato Kato Sulu. He's, of course, part of the U.S.S. Enterprise. He's the helmsman. I don't know why they did it that way, but he's primarily found on the actual deck as the helmsman. He also has like a real large number of different personality traits, unlike some of our other characters that we've met so far. He's active, he's a competitor. It's kind of funny how many episodes he's running around. One of the first episode or earliest episodes I remember with him, he's running around with a rapier, trying to kill people with the rapier. Also, I think that's the episode Leslie takes over the engine room, and does he die in that? I don't remember. As far as I'm concerned, at least in my head canon, Leslie is a character who just constantly gets killed off and is brought back to life in the next episode just to be killed off again. He's kind of like Kenny in that way. At least, again, in my head canon, just because it looks like he's played by the same character, the same actor, and dies every single episode. Anyway, I've kind of stopped. I'm going to stop talking about the paint because at this point, they are pretty much the same ones. The main difference here is we use a desert yellow. Demonic yellow on the shirt. And my demonic yellow is very chunky. So it was requiring a lot of work. The leather is, of course, leather brown. The flooring and the metallic is plate mail mixed with wolf gray, and then he'll also get some black in there, such as on the boots and on the phaser. And then he gets some just pure plate mail for the highlights on the phaser. He also has a tricorder in his left hand. Yeah, in his left hand. So he's got a couple of accessories, not as many as Scotty in the last episode, but a decent number. So with Sulu, the skin tone was a little tricky here because he has a different skin tone than most of the rest of the cast. Him and Uhura. I'm going to butcher her name like 1,000 times. Anyway, they both have very different skin tones than the rest of the crew. So yeah, I went with a very pale, like the lightest pale I could with Sulu. And I think the yellow of the shirt actually kind of makes the skin look more yellowy than it is. Which is just kind of weird. I feel like I did more of an anime color scheme to Sulu than anything else. So that was the greedy gold for the golden highlights. We're going back with some Necrocloak again, for his hair this time. Oh no, sorry. That was Stone Brown or Dark Stone. Oh my God, guys, these paints are literally all blending together, both physically and mentally. Dark Stone is an interesting piece because it looks black while it's wet, and once it dries, it's got a very dark brown. So I try something different here with Sulu, and I will tell you now, it does not work. Instead of going with my usual dark toner on the shirt, I do dark tone on the pants, the shoes, and the flooring, and the hair, if I ever get to it. Oh, and the blaster, can't forget the phaser. And then I end up doing a soft tone on the shirt itself. Now, so something to know with the toners: dark tone is watered down black. Strong tone is watered down, I want to say brown, or like a dark, like a light gray almost. And then soft tone is brown. It is very light brown. So I'm just doing some touch-ups here now that the dark tone is done, and I'm actually starting with the hair. So for Sulu, I worked from bottom to top, and then from top to bottom. Again, I'm just trying out different methods of painting these guys. So what I mean by bottom to top and top to bottom, I started with the ground, and I worked my way from the ground all the way up to the top of his head. Then from the top of his head, once everything dried, all the way down from to the flooring, I did the highlights. Right now I am mixing some paints just to try and get a good coloring there. I basically mixed the stone brown or dark stone with some brown to give just very slight highlighting on the top of his head. And I dry brushed it. So I pulled off a lot of that paint just to give it a little bit of dry brushing. Alright, next is... I think I did his face next. So his skin tone next. Yeah. Again, just kind of brightening that up a little bit. Again, hate to say it, but a little bit of yellowish into the skin tone. I believe the base tone is followed by, they call it sun-kissed. So it's basically a little bit more of a yellowy skin tone. And then I don't think I go super high. I think that's about as far as I go with the skin tone. I don't go... Oh, maybe I go as hot, like, I just do a slight little bit of sun-kissed on certain spots on him, which it turns out pretty good, in my opinion. My biggest issue is a lot of the male characters, I probably should have done slightly darker lips, um, just because most characters will not have, the same skin tone as their lips. Um, but the only one I actually adjusted the lip tone was for Ahura. So this is touching up just some of the brown or the hair. So, and then putting in his eyebrows, because trust me, people look really weird without any eyebrows. I was watching, again, going off on a tangent here, but I was watching the new, it's not Camp Cretaceous, it's the new Jurassic Park series, animated series. It's Chaos Theory? Not Chaos Control. That's a Sonic thing. Something Chaos. I'm pretty sure it's Chaos Theory. And it's post Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic Park, and one of the main antagonists is this weird albino-looking lady who has no eyebrows and does not blink. Holy cow, is she just disturbing. Alright, so this is where I start struggling. My demonic yellow, even after watering it down, was super solidly thick. It's looking pretty good on the camera. Let me tell you, it did not look like this in real life. In real life, it was so splotchy, you could see the paint under it and everything else. That's what was causing the headache here of trying to get that brightness fixed or get the balancing on him fixed. So let's see. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by actually watching myself paint. The worst part of this is I know how it turns out. So why am I getting distracted by the painting? Anyway, so I use demonic yellow here, and then I follow that up with moon dust, and that then gets followed by just a highlight of pure moon dust. So demonic yellow, and moon dust, and then just pure moon dust. I almost every one of my models I go three. Is it 3 layers? I'd say 2 layers of highlights. And then if it's a major character on some of my other stuff, I end up going even further than that. My super dungeon stuff, I end up going 3 or 4 deep. And my Rancor, forget it. I painted a Rancor years ago, and I can't tell you what I did. It looks so good, but it took so much time and effort. These guys, since they're more meant for board gaming and being played with, I'm going very light on them. Again, they're going to be handled a lot, so you don't want to you want them to look good, but you don't want them to be I can't touch this type deal. Not that it should be that big of a deal. You varnish, as long as you varnish them at the end, it's no big deal. So you can definitely see the lighter yellow being put on now. That is the demonic mixed with moon dust. And then I'm realizing that I kind of skipped the whole edges on where his arms are, which is technically okay because his arms would be blocking a lot of that light. And that's basically what you're trying to do with highlights, is simulate the light going down. I know a lot of people have started using, what do they call it? It's zenith shading method, which I kind of like, but my style of painting is a little too quick for that. quick and dirty, if you will, where they water down their paints and then you do small increases of shading to help see the highest highs and the lowest lows. You don't want to put it in too thickly, otherwise it ends up, you get what I do, which is just having to manually do it. And then we should be going on to just pure moon dust now. I probably should have waited a little bit to let each layer dry more, although it also isn't a bad idea to blend them together while they're wet, because then you get a nice little like gradient transition type thing. Again, Michelle's a lot better at this than I am. I was fairly good when when I was painting every week. Now that I only paint I've been painting these guys for the last 3 weeks. Not them taking 3 weeks to paint, but over the last 3 weeks I've been painting about 4 or 5 models a week, just to, for these videos, and then also for just kind of getting back into it. So now I've moved down from the shirt to the pants, which are just Necrocloak, followed by Necrocloak and Ash Gray, and finished off with Ash Gray. It's going to be weird not having these guys left to paint. Like I said, we've been painting these guys since last November. Started with the base set, of course, and then we've worked all the way to the newest releases, which are the classic Star Trek sets. As of right now, as of recording this, there have not been any more sets released. They had 2 of the classics, which is Kirk and Scotty. They had the three Klingon sets, which don't even ask me to try and pronounce their names, because I do not read, speak, or understand Klingon, which is funny. Growing up in a household that my dad was super obsessed with Star Trek, you would think you'd at least understand some basic on it or something. No, we were not that Star Trek family. That said, I feel like it was weird because I was always a Star Wars fan. Even though I grew up watching more Star Trek than I think anything else. So I don't know really why Star Wars appealed to me more than Star Trek, other than maybe just saw it as a kid and really fell in love with it for some reason. But anyway, I keep getting distracted. So, what was I saying? God, I literally lost my train of thought here. Holy crap. It's not usually this bad, guys. It gets bad, but it's not this bad. Okay, so this technique, I've talked about this in the last couple of videos. I'm putting a line of the highest highlights, and then I'm just kind of feathering it and dry brushing it out into the sides. That ends up giving it the most transitional look, instead of just... It kind of looks abrupt if you do it the other way and just kind of leave it. So I'm trying my best to kind of make it all mesh together. Next, we move down from the pants to the shoes. I'm getting a weird accent, which means I am just tired. Oh my god. I don't know why I'm tired, to be honest, guys. I'm just sitting here talking over myself. It's black, followed by black with Necrocloak, which still kind of looks black to me. I honestly could not tell you the difference. But like if you put them side by side, they both pretty much look black. And then Necro Cloak is the highest highlight. So this is the highlight. Again, can you tell the difference, please? I know it looks shiny now, but I think that's just because it's wet. And then this is the highest high with the Necro Cloak. Again, I don't know if I did anything really there. It's usually working black to light, you can tell. It's when you're working like up to a white that is hard to really get that differentiation. And then we are finishing off with the base, of course. The base gets a nice dry brushing of wolf gray and plate mail. And now we are following that up with... There's a lot... Oh, right. I forgot to do the touch-ups on the tricorder. So just trying to, like, get that all brightened up. Both the blaster, the tricorder, and the phaser. One of these days I will stop saying blaster. It will probably be in a Star Wars video when I have to say blaster. So look forward to that. Yay. Yeah, so that's there. And then we have to switch over, if I'm not mistaken, to my plate mail. Nope, gold. Doing his little chess piece and his insignia. Perfect. Very good. Sulu ready to go. And then I mark his little... I really don't know the coloring. I probably... If I sat and studied it or looked it up, I probably would have figured it out. But as far as I'm concerned, it's good enough. Now we... of course, outline his letters in his name, and then we go over with some electric blue on the outer edge of his stand, and then that will pretty much wrap it all up, guys. So this actually takes... This is probably one of the sections that takes the longest, just because I'm trying to be as accurate as possible. And not get the paint on the top there. But there we go. Get her all around the back. And there it is. And let's go to the highlights. Alright, so a little bright. Again, I need to also get a better light box here. But I'm very proud of his pants, believe it or not. I also just realized I missed the leather strap that he is holding on to. Oh well. Might have to fix that in another video or whatever. But till then, guys, Ron and Will, later.